Good evening, India. So I am CA Bikash Bogi from Bombay. So I welcome you all in this special session of TDS. This program is jointly hosted by Tax Guru as well as CATDSman.com software. So it is a software used for TDS return filing a purpose. So both of these are jointly hosting this session. So in today's session, I'm going to explain technical intricacy of TDS, which are the things a practitioner, business person, accountants of the companies are facing. So everyone is thinking that TDS is painful. So in my today's session, I'm going to explain TDS in a very simple manner. I will try to touch up all the aspects of TDS in a simple manner and will try to explain technical concept for your understanding. So the session timing will be approximately 45 minutes, and after that I will take question answers. So if anyone is having any questions, then you can write your questions in the YouTube chat box. I will capture all the questions at the end of the session. So TDS is not so tedious. So as many of the chartered accountants, like tax consultants, and accounts manager in various companies are facing lots of problem with respect to TDS. So for them, it is a burden one. But you need to understand what is TDS. You need to understand the logic behind the TDS, the thought process which is running in the mind of policymakers. So why TDS seems to be TDS, but it is not so tedious. It's not that painful. So TDS broadly covers majority of the tax revenue of the government. If I will take the figures of FY 23-24, so out of 4.6 trillion of TDS collected, so estimated figures, so approximately 50% of the TDS amount has 50% of the tax collected is through the TDS only. So the earlier the concept of the TDS was in the mind of the policymaker to collect the revenue in a more faster way. Now there is a shift in the thought process of the government, and government is taking this TDS mechanism for collecting of financial information from various sources. It's not just that it's a collection of tax at the earliest possible time. It is collection of various financial information. So government is taking this TDS mechanism as a reporting mechanism for financial transactions. So in the today's session, I will cover basic concepts, deductions, tax filings, recent TDS amendments, penalty prosecutions, impact on tax audits, and few other aspects. So first, understand what is TDS. So in my today's session, I'm going to take one example through which I will explain this concept in a better way. Suppose there is chartered accountant Mr. A. He has provided a service to Messrs XYZ Limited Private Company. So he has raised an invoice of 40,000 rupees to XYZ Private Limited Company. So now the XYZ Limited Company, XYZ need to pay the tax, pay the amount to the chartered accountant. Invoice amount is 40,000 rupees. So the company need to deduct TDS as per section 194J. Tax rate is 10%. So bill amount was 40,000, TDS 4,000. Then the company will pay 36,000 to the chartered accountant. This is a simple transaction. Complete. So the chartered accountant raised the invoice, say today, 21st September 2024. And the company has made the payment to the chartered accountant on 25th of September 2024. So what company did? Company booked the invoice as soon as they have received the invoice through the chartered accountant. So they have booked the invoice on 21st. They have released the payment on 25th. Perfect. So then when you will make the payment of TDS, payment of TDS XYZ company will make within 7th day from the end of the respective quarter. So in case of TDS, all the transactions are captured in 4 quarters: first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. So September is the end of second quarter. So the due date, so the due date is so the due date is 7th of October. Then the company will make the payment of TDS by 7th. Payment has been made. So how the company has deposited this TDS with the government against my pen, against the pen of the CA. So how the chartered accountant will get the TDS credit? The company needs to file the TDS return. Suppose there is only one transaction in case of company, then the company will file the TDS return by the respective due date. So the due date is for second quarter, the due date is 31st October. The company will file TDS return by 31st October. So what will be the particulars in the TDS return? They will put the PAN number of the chartered accountant, gross amount which is 40,000, TDS amount which is 4,000, TDS payment challan detail, challan reference number, challan serial number, and challan date. These informations will go in TDS return. TDS return has been filed by 31st October by the company. Then what? Within 7 days, this TDS will get reflect in the TDS statement, which is called 26AS of the chartered accountant. After filing of TDS return, the company needs to issue TDS certificate within 15 days from the due date. That is by 15th November, the company needs to issue TDS certificate to the chartered accountant. So this is a broad mechanism of chartered accountant. So TDS is working like as an advanced tax for the chartered accountant. And this TDS will now reflect in the 26AS of the chartered accountant. So wait a minute. So I think there is some issue. Okay. Sorry for the interruption. So there was some technical glitch in the screen sharing. So I've explained the basics, entire steps of TDS in a broader way, in a simple example. So I will take the reference of this example in my presentation also. So I think this is I have already covered that basically it is treated as advanced tax for the chartered accountant, and the TDS are getting captured for specified payments like salary, commission, remuneration, professional fees, purchase of properties, and winning rentals, and few other stuffs. So one of the major reasons for introduction of the TDS is to keep a catch on tax evasion, and also to get the steady revenue flow throughout the process. So this mechanism, which I've explained in my example, so it is given in the screen. So you can say it in a entire process can be categorized in 5 steps, and you need to do step by step things, and then then there is no pain in TDS. So it's a very simple process. So you need to just have your concept clear about the TDS. If your concept is clear about the TDS, then you will not face any kind of difficulty while dealing with the TDS compliances. TDS certificate, I have already explained you that that needs to be issued within 15 days. Yeah. In case of TDS on salary, so the employer will issue Form 16, and it is an annual process. So the due date for issue of Form 16 for the employers is 31st May. And for other TDS, it's a 15 days from the due date of filing of the respective returns. So TDS return filing is quarterly. So whenever you are supposed to file TDS return, you need to capture all the transactions in the respective TDS form, and you need to capture respective PAN number of the parties, gross amount, TDS amount, and tax payment challans. While filing the TDS return, you need to consider one more thing also. Many times the deductees are taking lower TDS certificate. So whenever there is a lower TDS certificate, so at the time of tax return filing, one need to give the reference number of lower TDS certificate. Otherwise, if you will not give the reference of lower TDS certificate, then it will result in demand immediately after tax filing, after TDS filing. And where you will file a TDS return. So nowadays, income tax department has captured all the informations in income tax e-filing profile only. So income tax e-filing portal. So in the income tax e-filing portal, there are certain specific tab with respect to TDS filing. So you need to just go there and select the respective form and do the filing. Types of TDS returns. So this is important. So how many types of returns one need to file? So there are many TDS returns. So 24Q is respect to TDS on salary. So all the transaction with respect to salary will be captured under 24Q. All the transaction with respect to other than salary will captured in 26Q. Transaction with respect to payments made to non-residents, it will get captured in 27Q. Transaction with respect to sale of immovable property shall be captured in 26QB, and TDS on rent payments. So all these rent payments will be captured in 24QC. So in this slide, so I've explained the TDS return filing process. So step by step process is given. So how you will file the TDS return? First, you need to compile all the data, and you need to prepare the data as per the return. There will be return preparation utility. You need to fill up all the data, and then you need to make it a FUV file you need to make this file error free. If there is a invalid PAN in that working file, then it will show an error. So you need to remove all the errors, and then you upload this FUV file in the income tax e-filing portal in the respective place where you will file the tax TDS return. And you can file the TDS return through EVC by way of OTP, or you can attach the DSC of the respective deductor to file your TDS returns. TDS returns due date. This is very important. So you should remember the TDS returns due date for quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. The due date is 1 month after the end of the quarter. For quarter 4, the due date is 31st May. So far as TDS payment is concerned, for every month, TDS payment due date is 7th of the respective month. In case of 31st March, the TDS payment due date is 30th April. So why there is a additional time for the month of March? Because in the case of year-end closing, there are lots of transactions, so for which the respective taxpayer needs to capture all the transactions, and accordingly, so hence the tax department has given some additional time for tax filing of fourth quarter. Penalties and prosecution. So I think you should be give special attention in this slide. Penalties. So if there is a delay in filing of TDS return, penalties rupees 200 per day. Maximum penalty is up to your TDS amount. TDS amount in that particular return. So you should be willing to pay the penalty amount if there is a delay, or if some of the transaction you have not received from, or some of the transactions are yet to be received from some parties with respect to TDS return. So what is my advice here is, don't delay the TDS return, because if you delay the TDS return, then there will be 200 rupees per day penalty. Suppose there are 20 TDS, 20 transactions are there which you need to capture in the TDS return, and you have received details of only 15 transactions or 18 transactions. So some transaction details are yet to be received from your accounts team. Then what is my advice to you? File the TDS return with 15 or 18 transactions only. Subsequently, when you got the additional details, then you just revise the return. In that case, you will save the penalty 200 rupees per day. Otherwise, if you wait for the entire transaction, then you will end up paying 200 rupees per day penalty, and it's compulsory penalty. Nobody can waive it off. Even tax department, TDS officer will not be able to waive off. This is compulsory penalty. So if you are a tax manager, accounts team, so please pay attention to this specific point. So if you feel that you will not able to file a TDS return on time, file a TDS return based on the information available with you to save yourself from penalty 200 rupees per day. Apart from that, if TDS officers is issuing any kind of notices, then in as per section 271H, then there will be minimum penalty of 10,000, or maximum penalty will be 1 lakh rupees for failure to file TDS statement within the due dates. Another important provision with respect to prosecution. So what was the income tax provision earlier? So you need to understand the impact. So earlier the provision was that even if there is a delay of 1 day for payment of TDS, TDS department were given the power to initiate prosecution proceeding against the deductor. So from budget 2024 finance, since there were lots of litigations and there were lots of representation before the finance ministry, that I think at times genuine taxpayers were facing problems due to this. So to give relief to the genuine taxpayer, finance minister has proposed the amendment in income tax from budget 2024 that if there is a delay in payment of TDS, and if this TDS amount is paid within due date of filing of the respective TDS return, then there will be no prosecution proceeding against the deductor. So let's understand this with my example. So as per my example, I have told that I have done the transaction on 21st of September. So quarter is ending on 30th September. So that the due date of TDS filing of the second quarter is 31st October. Suppose in this case, the company has not deposited the TDS by 7th October. So the company can deposit the TDS with interest also. So the company will deposit the TDS if company depositing it within 31st October, then TDS department will not initiate prosecution proceeding against the company. So, if there is a delay in payment of TDS, then what? So you need to pay interest at the rate of 12% per annum. It means 1% per month. An interesting part about this provision is that even if there is a delay of 1 day, then you need to pay the interest of full month. So make sure that you are not delaying the TDS payment and you are making the TDS payment on time to safeguard yourself from the interest. So what is the rate of interest in case of fixed deposits prevailing in India? 7 to 8% in on an average. So you will end up paying high amount to TDS department if you are delaying your TDS. So be careful next time. Compounding. So what is compounding? So as per my previous slides where I've explained that earlier, when there was a delay in payment of TDS and where the TDS department were feeling that they should initiate prosecution proceeding against the deductor, then they were issuing notices under section 276B for prosecution. Apart from that, there is a provision in the Income Tax Act which says that if the deductor is filing an application for compounding, compounding means what in a general sense, like compounding means that please take penalty from me, don't put me behind bar. This is the meaning of compounding. So there is a process where a deductor can file an application before jurisdiction CIT that kindly drop the prosecution proceeding. I am willing to pay the penalty as per the provisions of Income Tax Act and kindly withdraw this prosecution proceeding. So based on the merits of the case, CIT decides the compounding application of the taxpayer and accordingly they either accept or they either reject. In case of deductor is a genuine, there was genuine issue with the deductor, normally department are issuing compounding orders. But if the deductor is a willful defaulter, then department are going ahead with the prosecution proceedings. So in case of compounding applications, there were certain amendments in the budget 2024. So I have jotted down those amendments in this slide. So they've extended the time limit for compounding application. Earlier it was 12 months. Now it is extended to 24 months, and which can be further extended to 36 months with the approval of Chief Commissioner. Compounding charges, earlier it was fixed rates. Now it is reduced to 1% per month of delay up to 3 months and 2% per month of delay for delay beyond 3 months. Application, there is no change in the application format. Eligibility for compounding. So now, earlier there was no such specific requirement, but now tax department has brought this amendment that If you want to make an application for compounding, then before the filing of application, all your dues, TDS amount should be paid before filing the application. Suppose if you have filed the application, if there is any TDS dues against your TAN number, then your application may straight away reject. So through budget 2024, Finance Minister has proposed very steep reduction in the TDS rates, so which gives the indication which is in the mind of the tax department that government want to streamline the TDS provisions. They don't want to just collect the TDS. They just want to get information from various sources, and at the same time, they don't want to put additional burden on the taxpayer. So this chart gives the rate of TDS, which has been significantly reduced from 5% to 2%, 20% to 0%. And these rates are effective from 1st October 2024 or 1st April 2025. So you need to check which provisions are applicable in your organization, and accordingly you need to take action against these items. There were certain other amendments in this budget which is related to TDS. So earlier, in case of few of the employees, if there were some TCS, so the employees were not been able to get the credit of TDS. So since the government has reduced the TCS, received the TCS amount, so now they brought this amendment that in case of the TCS, they will give this declaration with their company, and it will be treated as TDS while discharging their tax liability or deduction of tax liability. One more clarification with respect to definition of work as per section 194C and 194J. So they have brought out certain clarification and few other amendments. Lower deduction certificate, scope of lower deduction certificate has been extended to cover payment for the purchase of goods. In case of various purchases, high value purchases, so there is certain amount of TCS provisions. So through this budget 2024, so they brought the concept of lower TDS. So one can file an application before judicial TDS officer to get a lower TDS certificate for the particular transaction. One more important amendment proposed by budget 2024 with respect to TDS on remuneration paid to partners of a partnership firm, salary remuneration bonus or interest paid by a firm to the partners. Earlier, there were no TDS on these items. So now the amendment has been brought that 10% TDS will be deducted on these items subject to a threshold of 20,000 rupees. Tax audit. So since this is a season of tax audit, so the chartered accountants, auditors needs to be more careful while doing tax audit. There are many pointers which chartered accountants, tax auditor need to consider while doing the tax audit. So there are certain disclosures in tax audit with respect to TDS. So which are these clarifications? So which are these pointers? So first point is this case. So as per section 41 Roman IA, if TDS has not been deducted, then 30% of the expenditure shall be disallowed while calculating business income. And a tax auditor need to capture all these transactions in clause 21B of the tax audit report. So if there is some non-deduction of TDS, as per 40 Roman 1A, then tax auditor need to report this transaction in tax audit report. Another one, clause 34A. What this clause say? So in aggregate, throughout the previous year, whatever TDS has been deducted on various heads, then a summary of all these transactions section wise need to be given in the tax audit report. So what is these details like? Suppose TDS has been deducted under section 192 salary, 194J professional fees, 194C contract, 194H commission, and there are different amounts. So what you need as a tax auditor, what you need to do, you need to consolidate all the TDS returns filed throughout the previous year, and you need to prepare a summary of all the payments made throughout the previous year. That section particulars total amount paid and TDS deducted. This information needs to give in clause 34A in the tax audit report. Another clause 34B. In this clause, the tax auditor need to report that whether TDS TCS returns has been filed or not filed, or if it is filed, then if there is a delay or no delay. So tax auditor need to give details of TDS return filed for all the quarters. Suppose in your case, salary payment is there, other than salary payment is there, and foreign payment is also there. So the tax auditor need to give comment, need to report that TDS return 24Q for all 4 quarters. What was the due date and when it is filed, and if there is a delay or not. So basically, TDS department, income tax department will get this information from your tax audit report to impose penalty on you. So nowadays we are talking about AI or data analytics. So income tax department in India is using most advanced data analytics AI, and they are collecting all the information from various sources to gather information and to take action against the taxpayers. Challenges and opportunities. So to comply with the TDS provisions, one need to have very strong understanding of the TDS concept, its impact, and penalty and penal provisions in case of default. Nobody want to do the defaults on their own, but you should know that how to comply with these TDS provisions. And if you have understanding of the provisions critically, then you can help your organization, you can help tax department, you can help the government to streamline everything. So it is advisable for every companies that they should file the TDS returns on time, try to capture all the information in a best possible way as far as possible. And even if there is a non-compliances for any item, try to be compliant. Suppose if there is a delay on your part, suppose if there is a delay, suppose if there is financial issues in your part and there is a delay on the part of TDS payment. So what you can do, even you can write to your jurisdictional tax officer that, sir, so we are not been able to make the TDS payment on time due to certain financial issues. So we will pay the TDS payment as soon as we will receive the fund or within 1 month or 2 months. From your side, you file one application with the tax department that there is certain issues. So it will show that you don't want to do default from your side. Your case is a genuine case and you are a genuine taxpayer. So if you do this stuff, then there will be a good chance the tax department will not take any action against you. So it's all about your approach, how you see the things and how you react on a particular item, particular situation. So takeaway, so the government has brought lots of changes. They've streamlined the TDS provisions to the extent possible, but still the TDS provisions are little bit complex. So being a tax manager, being an accountant or of a particular organization, so it is your duty to get understanding of everything and to match steps with government to follow these compliances. Government through these amendments try to simplify the things as much as they can. Tax auditor need to be more cautious about the TDS compliances and everyone in this ecosystem. So the entire ecosystem, deductor, company, chartered accountants, service providers. So everyone need to be work in sync to comply these TDS provisions. So TDS is not so tedious. So I hope I'm able to clear basic stuffs. So I've completed entire stuffs in around half an hour. So if still you have any queries, so you can write to your queries in chat box. I can reply to those queries immediately. So I can see a couple of queries here. So one query is with respect to one Om Bhadada. What is your opinion about inserting one more field in TDS return for entering document reference number for easy reconciliation where number of transactions are huge? So, sir, I don't think so that if your TDS utility is allowing you to insert one more reference number, then you can do. But I don't think so that you will able to put some reference number in that utility because there are certain specific formats. So what is advisable in this case that you make a copy of the TDS return final file, and in that final file you put your reference number. What you can put reference number, you can put as per your accounting system, like your SAP or tally voucher number or some system reference number, something like you can put for your cross referencing. I don't think so that the TDS return utility will allow you to put some additional reference number in this particular item. Yes. So next is Yogesh Prajapati. So he is asking one question that don't these TDS rules are unfair to the public in general, as already our tax system is one of the most complicated. Instead of it, government no need to take measure to make compliance easy. So Yogesh ji, so thank you for asking this question. So TDS rules is not unfair to the public. So basically, so you again in my session also, starting of the session also, I have explained that the government want to collect the information for various financial transactions. So if you see the TDS amendments, if you see the TDS amendment, then it says that they have reduced the rates substantially. So you cannot say that it is unfair. So government, you are saying that government should make the TDS compliance easy. So as far as my knowledge is concerned, TDS compliance is very easy. It's all about understanding of the basic section and to comply. So I cannot blame tax department that they are putting unnecessary burden on unnecessary burden on the general public, because government at the same time government needs to collect taxes, and these taxes are for the development of our country. So I cannot say this that they are putting unnecessary complications, and they are putting some unnecessary pressure on general public to do the compliances. At times, one feel that these provisions are tedious, but if you have clarity on your basic concept, then I think you will able to comply with these rules. And you should if you are facing any kind of technical issues, I think you should consult your chartered accountant. Chartered Your CA will be able to guide you in a more proper way. Yes, so Yogesh, again, you have written that continuous amendment in the TDS rules are discouraging for a common layman. How can government expect people from non-financial background to know these rules and ensure compliance of it? So, Yogesh, your concern is very genuine, but for a layman, at times it will be bit technical. So you are completely right. But I think so. So whenever you are facing these kind of issues, so my advice is that you should consult a tax consultant or a chartered accountant to get to resolve your issue. Instead of it, you should if you I think if you connect any tax consultant chartered accountant, then I think they will guide you in a much better way. So I know that at times some of these provisions are a bit technical for a layman. So but I think you should take the help of tax consultant or chartered accountants. So I think that will help you. So one Mohan Sivraj is there. So he's asking question with respect to section 206 CQ. So this 206 CQ has been introduced by Finance Act 2020. So basically, this section deals with TCS on sale of goods. So you need to understand the concept of TCS. So like if you are buying some luxury goods, say motor car, or say high end jewelry, or high end some high end luxury item. So as per the specific rules, you need the seller need to collect TCS, some negligible percentage, and they will deposit it against your PAN. So the funda is similar to TDS also. The government want information of financial transactions. Why the government want this information? Suppose you are filing your tax return. In your tax return, you are showing an income or taxable income of say rupees 10 lakh. And suppose you have bought one luxury car. The value of the luxury car is 1 crore. Then the seller has deducted some amount of TCS, some percentage of TCS, and they have deposited this TCS against your PAN. So now the tax department is having information that you have filed your income tax return showing a taxable income of 10 lakh rupees, and you have purchased a luxury car of rupees 1 crore. So then tax department will raise a query on you. So in this case, there is a very high chance that your case will be selected for scrutiny. And then tax department will ask you that what is the source of income from which you have purchased this luxury car of 1 crore rupees. So the idea behind TCS is this thought process. They just want to collect the TDS. They want information of the high value financial transaction. So this is the concept of TCS 206 CQ. I hope I'm clear about this concept. Yeah. So Yogesh Prajapati has again asked one question. So payment remuneration to partnership firm 5,000, 5,020. So TDS on which amount? So basically, sir, TDS is aggregate amount you need to see 20,000. So threshold limit is 20,000. So the moment the payment to the partner is exceeding rupees 20,000, then TDS provision will get applicable. Suppose 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 3 months, and next fourth month, the amount is 10,000. So in aggregate, total amount is 25,000. So while making the payment of 10,000, you need to deduct TDS on entire 25,000. The moment, so you need to make sure that this 20,000 is not exemption. 20,000 is a threshold limit. It is not exemption. 5,000 first month, 5,000 second month, 5,000 third month, and 10,000 fourth month. Payment to remuneration to the partner. So in fourth month, you need to deduct TDS at the rate 10% on the entire 25,000. I hope I'm clear. I think I've captured this amendment. Any other questions? I think I have captured all the questions which is came in YouTube chat box. Still, if anyone is having any queries, you can connect me. So my social media account is given there. So you can connect me or you can ask me if you have any query, any questions. So with this, I am concluding my session. So thank you for patient listening to me.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think there is one more question.